She called me clingy while I was burning with fever, then begged me not to leave. The night I stopped loving Vanessa Reed, I was carrying a scarf through a snowstorm for her. My temperature was just under 40 degrees Celsius. Every joint in my body hurt. My vision kept slipping in and out of focus, and each breath scraped against my throat. Vanessa had received an urgent call from her company shortly after 10. There's a problem with the quarterly presentation, she told me while pulling on her coat. The junior team made a mess of the numbers. I need to go in. You've already worked 12 hours. I'm the department head, Ethan. Problems don't wait until morning. She sounded irritated, as though my concern were another task she had been forced to manage. I said nothing. That had become one of the rules of our relationship. When Vanessa was stressed, I gave her space. When she forgot plans, I understood. When she spoke sharply, I reminded myself that she carried more responsibility than most people her age. When I was upset, I waited until she was ready. She was rarely ready. Vanessa reached the front door, then stopped. My scarf, the grey one. Yes, it's in the bedroom. She glanced at the time. I'll be late. Forget it. You'll freeze. I'll survive. The door closed. For several minutes, I sat on the sofa beneath two blankets, listening to the winter wind strike the windows of our London apartment. Then I imagined Vanessa walking from the office car park without a scarf. I imagined her becoming ill. I imagined her blaming herself for refusing help. So I stood, the room tilted violently. I held the wall until the dizziness passed, found the scarf and put on my coat. I did not own a car. Vanessa's company was collecting her downstairs, so I assumed I could catch her before she left. The lift took too long. I used the stairs. By the time I reached the lobby, my shirt was damp with fever. Outside, snow fell beneath the streetlights in thick, silent sheets. I saw Vanessa near a black car at the edge of the courtyard. She was not alone. A young man stood beside her, Noah Bennett. He had joined Vanessa's company 6 months earlier as a graduate trainee, 23 years old, attractive in a polished, effortless way and confident enough to treat every room like a private party. I had met him twice. Both times, he called Vanessa boss with a smile that made the words sound intimate. I stepped into the snow. Then Vanessa lifted her phone and recorded a voice message. Overtime, she said, laughing. Of course not. I lied to him. I stopped. Noah leaned against the car. Vanessa continued speaking to someone in her group chat. If I told Ethan it was your birthday, he'd ask why I needed to go. Noah grinned. He'd probably come with you. Vanessa rolled her eyes. That is exactly the problem. He follows me everywhere. My hand tightened around the scarf. Another woman's voice came through the phone speaker. Ethan seems sweet. Sweet becomes exhausting. After 7 years. The group laughed. Vanessa lowered her voice. Though not enough. He has no limits. No matter how badly we argue, he never leaves. I could disappear for a week and he'd still be waiting with dinner. Noah opened the car door for her. Vanessa smiled. There's no challenge. Nothing unpredictable. Being loved that safely becomes boring. Snow settled across my hair and shoulders. I stood less than 10 meters behind her. All Vanessa needed to do was turn around. She would have seen me pale with fever, holding the scarf she had forgotten. She did not turn. Noah helped her into the car. Before closing the door, he glanced in my direction. Our eyes met. He saw me. For 1 second, surprise crossed his face. Then something colder replaced it. Amusement. The car drove away. I remained in the courtyard until its red lights disappeared. Then I looked down at the scarf. 7 years earlier, Vanessa had wrapped that same scarf around my neck on our first winter date. You'll forget your own head if it isn't attached, she had said. I'd kissed her beneath a railway bridge while snow melted in her hair. At the time, I believed love meant remembering what the other person forgot. I walked to the nearest rubbish bin and dropped the scarf inside. Then, silently, I discarded the woman I had been, carrying in my heart with it. The strange thing about falling out of love was how little noise it made. There was no explosion, no dramatic collapse. One moment, Vanessa's happiness mattered more than my pride, sleep or health. The next, she became a person driving away in someone else's car, a person whose cold no longer concerned me. I felt lighter. Then my knees weakened. The pavement rose toward my face. A pair of arms caught me before I struck the ground. Ethan, I recognized the voice but could not immediately place it. A woman crouched beside me, one hand supporting my shoulder. Dark hair, green coat, sharp grey eyes. Sophie Lane, Vanessa's university friend, and now the operations manager at her company. We knew each other, but not well. Vanessa had once asked me to remove Sophie from my social media because Sophie reacted to one of my paintings with a heart. It looks inappropriate, Vanessa said. I deleted her without argument. Sophie touched my forehead. You're burning. I'm fine. You're collapsing in the snow. Minor difference of opinion. She stared at me. Where's Vanessa? At work. Sophie's expression changed. Work. I laughed. The sound turned into a cough. She asked you to come back and check on me, didn't she? Yes. Then she has become excellent at managing several lies at once. Sophie looked toward the road where Vanessa's car had disappeared. What happened? I need a hospital. She called a taxi. I lost consciousness before it arrived. When I opened my eyes, fluid was entering my arm through a transparent tube. The hospital room was quiet except for the soft electronic rhythm of a monitor. Sophie sat near the end of the bed, watching the fall bag. A nurse entered and checked my temperature. 39.8 when you arrived, she said. You're fortunate your partner brought you in. Sophie looked uncomfortable. She isn't. The nurse turned on her. And you should not have allowed him to walk outside like this. Severe fever and dehydration can become dangerous very quickly. I didn't. Then the nurse looked at me. And you. Your body belongs to you. If you don't protect it, no one else can do it for you. For some reason, that sentence stayed with me. Vanessa had spent years convincing me that caring for her was love. No one had asked whether I cared for myself. After the nurse left, Sophie pulled out her phone. I should tell Vanessa. Don't. She looked up. She needs to know where you are. I don't want her here. Sophie's eyebrows lifted. You're still afraid. She be angry. No. I pushed myself upright too quickly. The four-line pulled. Sophie stood and steadied it. Then what? I don't want her to know anything about me. Sophie studied my face. I handed her my phone. On the screen was a video Noah had sent shortly before I collapsed. A private birthday room. Music, champagne. Vanessa drinking with him while their arms were linked. The camera moved closer as people cheered. Noah looked directly into the lens. Vanessa laughed and told him to stop filming. The message beneath it read, "She looks happier when she isn't babysitting you." Sophie watched twice. Her face became expressionless. That little. He wanted me to see it, apparently. And Vanessa chose to be there. Sophie lowered the phone. I didn't know. I believe you. I thought she genuinely had an emergency. So did I. She has spent years telling everyone you are the center of her life. I smiled faintly. Perhaps she meant the furniture. Useful, permanent and easily ignored. Sophie sat down. She loves you. Based on what? She always speaks about you. What does she know about me? The question silenced her. What food do I like? Sophie looked away. What do I paint when I'm upset? Nothing. What did I give up to remain in London with her? Her expression tightened. Years earlier, I had been offered a place at an art academy in Amsterdam. Vanessa had just received her first management opportunity. She cried when I mentioned leaving. I cannot do long distance, she said. I declined the scholarship. For 7 years, I worked from our apartment, creating illustrations for publishers and advertising agencies. My career survived. It never became what it could have been. Vanessa often introduced me as someone who did drawings online. She loves what I do for her, I said. That is not the same as loving me. My phone rang. Vanessa. I watched it until the call ended. A message appeared. You're not at home. Where are you? Then another. Why aren't you answering? Then, Ethan, don't start acting childish. I turned the phone face down. To my surprise, my chest did not tighten. 4 years. Vanessa's anger could ruin an entire day. Now it was only text on glass. So this is what letting go feels like, I said. Sophie watched me carefully. What are you going to do? Eat breakfast. That is your plan. For the next 10 minutes. She gave a small laugh. It was the first peaceful sound I had heard all night. Sophie returned the following morning carrying porridge, bread and coffee. I didn't know what you liked. I'm not difficult. She looked unconvinced. Vanessa says you are. Vanessa is difficult. So we eat the same 5 meals. I tasted the porridge. It was too sweet. I finished it anyway. Sophie sat in the chair with her own breakfast. Vanessa has called me 19 times. I'm impressed. She thinks I know where you are. You do. I haven't told her. Thank you. Sophie hesitated. What happened outside the building? I told her about the scarf, the voice message, the laughter, Vanessa calling me clingy, saying I had no limits, saying safe love was boring. Sophie stopped eating. You went downstairs with that fever. I was worried she would be cold. She muttered something under her breath. What? I said she's an idiot. She has 2 degrees. Academic qualifications do not prevent idiocy. My phone continued filling with messages. It's nearly noon. Your laptop is gone. Are you at a client meeting? Answer me immediately. Then the tone changed. I'm sorry, I was impatient. Come home and I'll cook. Vanessa could not cook. The message would once have made me smile. Now it looked like a person pulling random handles. In a dark room, hoping one opened the door she wanted. Sophie nodded toward the screen. You could block her. Why? So she stops disturbing you. I read Vanessa's newest message. Please, I'm frightened. A dark, unfamiliar satisfaction moved through me. For 7 years, I had known what it felt like to wait for her, to send a message and watch it remain unread, to wonder whether I had said something wrong, to lower my expectations until the smallest response felt generous. Not yet, I said. Sophie frowned. You're enjoying this. A little. That isn't healthy. Neither was running through snow with a 40-degree fever. Fair point. By afternoon, the doctor allowed me to leave if I returned daily for treatment and monitoring. Sophie offered to take me home. I'm not going home. Hotel. Until I find an apartment. Her eyes widened. You're serious about leaving? I have never been more serious. The hotel stood 2 streets from the hospital. I had just finished eating grilled fish when someone knocked. Through the peephole, I saw 2 police officers. Vanessa stood behind them. Her hair was unwashed, and dark shadows marked the skin beneath her eyes. I opened the door. The female officer spoke first. Mr. Cole. Yes. A missing person concern was filed. I'm not missing. Vanessa stepped forward. Ethan, where have you been? The officer raised a hand and stopped her. Are you here voluntarily? Yes. Have you contacted your family? My parents both know I'm safe. That was generous. My parents had divorced years earlier, remarried, and created separate families. They cared about me in the distant, polite manner people care about an old neighbor. Still, I had sent them messages. You have a right to remain somewhere else, the officer said. But your partner was concerned. Former partner. Vanessa flinched. The male officer glanced between us. Is there a safety issue? No, I said. I ended the relationship. Vanessa stared at me. You did what? I opened Noah's video and handed the phone to the officers. Music filled the hallway. On the screen, Vanessa drank from a glass linked through Noah's arm. Her face changed from panic to humiliation. That was nothing. I was told you were working. It was a birthday after the meeting. You never went to the office. Vanessa looked toward the officers. We had an argument. He's emotional. I laughed. The sound was sharper than I intended. Would you like to hear the voice message where she says I'm so desperate that she can do anything, and I'll never leave? Her face became white. You heard that? I was standing behind you with your scarf. For the first time, Vanessa had no answer. The officers exchanged a look. The female officer returned my phone. This appears to be a private relationship matter. Mr. Cole has confirmed that he is safe. Then she looked at Vanessa. He has also asked for space. You need to respect that. After they left, I began closing the door. Vanessa placed her hand against it. Ethan, wait. Move your hand. I can explain. Nothing requires explanation. I was drunk. You had not started drinking when you recorded the message. I was showing off. To Noah, her eyes shifted. That was answer enough. It wasn't like that. It does not matter what it was. We've been together 7 years. Yes, you cannot erase 7 years because of one stupid night. I didn't erase them. I looked at her calmly. You did. I simply stopped pretending they guaranteed another 7. Her voice became harder. This is ridiculous. Come home. We'll discuss it privately. No, Ethan. No. The word surprised both of us. I had said no to clients, to strangers, to myself. Rarely to Vanessa. She softened her expression. Please. I remembered the courtyard, the snow, her laughter. There's no challenge. He never leaves. I am leaving now, I said. Is that challenging enough? I closed the door. For the next hour, Vanessa knocked, apologized and demanded answers. She changed strategies every few minutes. I'm sorry. You misunderstood. Please open the door. You're humiliating me. We can fix this. Stop behaving like a child. Tell me what punishment you want. At last, the hotel manager warned her that security would remove her if she continued disturbing guests. Through the peephole, I saw a look I had never witnessed on Vanessa's face. Fear. Ethan, she whispered. I'll take the room next door. I did not answer. I'll wait until you calm down. Still nothing. You always want to talk. I turned away from the door. That was true. Whenever we argued, I believed communication could save us. I followed her from room to room, asked what she felt, explained what I needed. Vanessa called it exhausting. Now she wanted a conversation, because silence no longer protected her. I slept better than I had in years. The following morning, Vanessa waited outside my room. She wore the same clothes. I stayed awake because I thought you might message. I walked toward the lift. She followed. You're going to the hospital. I did not reply. You were ill. Nothing. Why didn't you tell me? I pressed the lift button. Ethan, speak to me. The doors opened. She caught my sleeve. I removed her hand. Her expression hardened. All of this over a video. I stepped into the lift. I told you it was a misunderstanding. The doors began closing. Vanessa forced herself between them. If you keep acting this way, we should break up. I looked at her. She waited. In previous years, those words were her strongest weapon. Whenever Vanessa threatened to end the relationship, I apologized immediately. Even when I had done nothing wrong, I could survive anger. I could not survive abandonment. At least, that was what I once believed. We already broke up, I said. Her confident expression disappeared, and I was the one who left you. The lift doors closed between us. Vanessa followed me to the hospital. While a nurse prepared my four, she stood near the doorway. It's cold today, she said. I forgot my scarf. I looked at the transparent tube instead of her. Where's the grey one? I threw it away. Her fingers tightened around her phone. You threw away my scarf. Yes. You were worried I'd be cold. Before, she stepped closer. I'm still the same person. That is the problem. Her eyes filled. Ethan, I did not cheat. You lied. I attended a birthday. You mocked me. I was joking. You treated my love as a weakness. I was angry. With what? She opened her mouth. No answer came. I looked at her. Was I too loyal? No. Too available? No. Too interested in your life? Stop. Did I love you so consistently that it became embarrassing? I said stop. The nurse glanced toward us. I lowered my voice. You wanted uncertainty. Now you have it. Vanessa's face crumpled. I was stupid. Yes, I can change. I hope you do. For us, there is no us. She remained outside the hospital room during every treatment for 3 days. When I returned to the hotel, she followed. She brought food, flowers, a new scarf. She wrote letters and left them. Beneath the door, Vanessa, who once complained that my messages were too long, filled pages with apologies. I read none of them. The person begging outside my door resembled the man I had once been. That did not make me want her back. It made me understand how little dignity I had preserved while loving her. On my final treatment day, I called Sophie. I need help disappearing. That sounds criminal, only mildly dramatic. Vanessa had taken the room beside mine and watched the corridor constantly. Sophie developed a plan. She arrived in the evening and knocked on Vanessa's door. While they argued near the main lift, I turned on the shower to hide the sound of my suitcase, left through the service corridor, and used the second lift. Within 20 minutes, I was inside a rented studio flat in North London. It was small, 1 bedroom, white walls, a balcony barely large enough for a chair. It was also mine. No one disliked fish. No one complained that paint supplies made the living room untidy. No one expected me to stop working because they wanted tea. I placed my drawing tablet on the desk. A black shelter cat named Ink, whom the landlord had been fostering, climbed into my lap during the viewing and refused to leave. The landlord laughed. I suppose the flat comes with a cat now. That first night, Ink slept beside my feet. For the first time in years, I did exactly what I wanted. I painted until 3 in the morning. Vanessa discovered I had checked out the next day. She called from Sophie's number. Ethan, please. I ended the call. She called again. I rejected it. Vanessa borrowed other phones, used new accounts, sent emails. Her messages became increasingly desperate. I'm sorry. Tell me where you are. I haven't slept. I can't eat. I made your favorite soup. She did not know my favorite soup. I understand now. People often say that when consequences become painful, understanding after losing access is easy. Caring while someone remains available requires character. Sophie occasionally brought updates. Vanessa destroyed a lamp in the hotel room. I hope she paid for it. She did. She missed 2 important meetings. That sounds like a management issue. She cried in the office bathroom. I looked up from my tablet. I don't want to hear about her anymore. Sophie nodded. After that, she stopped mentioning Vanessa. Our conversations became less frequent, but Sophie sent a message each morning. Alive. I usually replied with a photograph of Ink occupying my keyboard. Sophie helped me because she believed it was right. She did not demand gratitude. That difference mattered. Several weeks later, Sophie called shortly after midnight. I'm sorry. Her voice sounded strained. What happened? Vanessa has been drinking heavily. That is not my responsibility. I know. She needs friends, family or professional help. I know. So why are you calling? Sophie hesitated. She became seriously ill. tonight and refused to cooperate with the hospital staff. She keeps demanding to see you. I closed my eyes. I don't want to restart this. You don't have to forgive her. Then what does she want? To know you came. I should have refused. But despite everything, I did not want someone endangered because everyone around her was waiting for the correct emotional response. I put on my coat. Send the address. At the emergency department. Vanessa sat on a chair with medical staff nearby. She looked smaller. Her hair was tangled. Noah stood several meters away, arguing with her. If he doesn't come, are you going to refuse every doctor? He demanded. I only want Ethan. This is absurd. Vanessa saw me. Hope transformed her face so completely that for 1 second, I almost remembered the woman I had loved, Ethan. I stopped near the doorway. A nurse approached Vanessa. Now that he's here, will you allow us to continue treatment? Vanessa nodded. The staff moved quickly. Once she was stable and under proper medical care, I turned to leave. Her voice followed me. You're going already? Yes. I was ill. I came. Does sleep matter more than my life? The question drew several glances. I pulled my hood forward, wishing the floor would open beneath me. Public scenes had always terrified me. Vanessa knew that. Now she was using one because quiet apologies had failed. Noah stepped between us. You abandoned him with a severe fever to attend my birthday. Vanessa looked at him with sudden hatred. If you hadn't sent the video, he would still be with me. Noah laughed bitterly. Yes, I sent it. Sophie stared at him. I did too. Noah folded his arms. I saw him outside the building with your scarf. You knew I knew. Why would you do that? Because everyone at work talked about how kind he was, while you treated him like an inconvenience. Noah's voice rose. I invited the whole department to my birthday. No one forced you to come. No one forced you to lie. No one forced you to drink with me or tell your friends that your boyfriend was pathetic. Vanessa became pale. You wanted me. I enjoyed the attention. The honesty was brutal. But I never asked you to betray anyone. You flirted with me. And you were in a relationship. Noah looked at her with disgust. I'm 23, not 5. I know the difference between being admired and being loved. Apparently, you didn't. Vanessa stared at him. Then at me. I made a mistake. No, I said quietly. You made many choices. She stood too quickly. A nurse reached toward her. But Vanessa moved away. You promised you would love only me. I did. Then how can you leave? Because the man who made that promise no longer exists. You're angry. I'm not. You hate me. I don't. Her breathing became uneven. That's worse. Yes. She took another step toward me. Sophie moved between us. Vanessa, stop. Vanessa's eyes narrowed. Is it you? Sophie froze. Are you the reason he won't return? No. You've been helping him. Yes. You always wanted him. Sophie looked at me once, then back at Vanessa. I cared about him. You. But this is not about me. Sophie's voice became sharp. For 7 years, Ethan rearranged his life around yours. Do you know what food he likes? What he paints when he cannot sleep? Which academy offered him a place? Which city he still dreams about? Vanessa's silence became an answer. You say you love him, Sophie continued. But what did you ever do besides receive? I gave him a home. He paid half the rent. I supported his career. You called it drawing online. Vanessa's eyes filled with tears. I didn't mean to hurt him. People rarely announce that intention. Sophie stepped aside. But they are responsible for noticing when they repeatedly do. Vanessa looked at me. So you really don't love me? For the first time, she sounded calm. I thought you were punishing me. I wasn't. I thought you wanted me to chase you. I didn't. I thought if I apologized enough, you would become the person you were before. That person was exhausted. A tear moved down her face. I really lost you. Yes. Medical staff guided her back toward treatment. I left before she could ask me to remain. 2 months later, I received an email from the Royal European Arts Fellowship. I had applied in secret after moving into the studio. The program offered a year of study across Amsterdam, Florence and Prague. Full scholarship, housing included, access to mentors whose work I had admired since I was a teenager. I read the acceptance letter 3 times. Then I laughed so loudly that ink fled beneath the sofa. Years earlier, I had surrendered Amsterdam because Vanessa could not imagine loving me from another city. Now Europe was opening itself to me. I needed several old paintings for the fellowship archive. They remained in the apartment Vanessa and I once shared. I asked Noah and Sophie to accompany me, not because I feared Vanessa physically, because I no longer trusted myself to enter that home alone without becoming the version of me who apologized for having needs. Vanessa was waiting when we arrived. She had lost weight. The polished executive certainty had disappeared. My paintings were stacked carefully along the living room wall. I didn't touch anything, she said. Thank you. The plants are still on the balcony. I looked through the glass. Several were dead. The others had yellow leaves and dry soil. I tried, Vanessa said. I'm not good with them. I used to spend every Sunday caring for those plants. Watering, pruning, changing soil, removing damaged leaves. I once told Vanessa that people were similar. Nothing living remained healthy through neglect. She laughed and called me sentimental. Now the plants stood like a map of our relationship. I did not take them. Where are you moving? Vanessa asked. Abroad. Her face changed. For how long? A year. Perhaps longer. Where? Several places. Why? I received an art fellowship. Sophie smiled. Noah congratulated me. Vanessa said nothing. Years earlier, my acceptance to Amsterdam had made her cry until I declined. Now she understood I was leaving without asking whether she approved. You're really going? Yes. What about your clients? They can work internationally. What about the flat? I'll end the lease. What about us? Noah looked away. Sophie's expression hardened. I continued checking the paintings. There is no us. Vanessa opened a drawer and removed a small piece of carved goldstone had given her during our 3rd year together. You once told me you loved gold. I said it remained useful in unfamiliar places. You said, if we ever became lost, we could sell it and avoid starving. I was 22. You were optimistic. I was impractical. She held it toward me. Take it. I accepted it. Her fingers remained around the object for 1 second longer. Could you leave one painting? Why? So I have something. You have photographs. They don't feel the same. The paintings may become valuable. A bitter smile appeared. So money matters more than me now. I paid for the materials, created the work and own the copyright. Vanessa lowered her hand. You sound different. I am cold. No. I placed the goldstone inside my bag. I am simply no longer warm for you. Her eyes closed. Do you remember when I told you that you were too negative? Yes. I understand now. You were preparing for a disappointment because you had already experienced so much of it. I don't need you to analyze me. I'm trying to show you I've changed. Changed because you dislike who you became. I lifted the final canvas. Not because you believe becoming better purchases my return. She began crying. Will I ever see you again? I don't know. Can I write? You can. Hope appeared. I probably won't answer. It disappeared. I walked out with every painting. I left the dead plants behind. I told no one my exact departure time. Yet Sophie was waiting at Heathrow. She stood near the entrance to security with both hands clasped together. You found out. Noah has access to the company travel system. That sounds illegal. He claims it was an accident. Of course. Sophie attempted to smile. Then the expression failed. Ethan, may I ask something? Yes. Could you ever consider me? The airport seemed to become quieter. Sophie looked terrified. She had faced Vanessa in a hospital without hesitation. Now she could barely meet my eyes. What do you like about me? I asked. Everything. That is not an answer. You're kind, talented, patient. You notice people. How do you know those things? She frowned. I've seen them. Where? Understanding slowly appeared. Most of what Sophie knew about me came from Vanessa, from watching our relationship, from seeing me care for someone who did not return it. You like the man I was beside Vanessa, I said. That isn't fair. Perhaps not. I've spent time with you since then. You helped me during the worst period of my life. I didn't expect anything. I know. Then why assume my feelings aren't real? Because I don't know who I'll become after I leave. Sophie's eyes filled. I continued gently. For 7 years, my identity was built around Vanessa, her boyfriend, her support system, the person who waited at home. You're more than that. I need to discover what that means before asking someone else to love it. Sophie looked toward the security line. So this is no. This is honesty. Her shoulders lowered. After a moment, she nodded. You really have become annoyingly wise. If I were wise, I wouldn't have wasted 7 years. Don't call them wasted. What should I call them? Tuition. I laughed. For what degree? Self-respect. That program was expensive. The important ones usually are. We stood facing each other. No promises. No dramatic request to wait. That felt healthier than everything I had once called romance. Goodbye, Sophie. Goodbye, Ethan. I picked up my suitcase. She remained behind the security barrier as I walked away. I did not turn around. Not because she meant nothing. Because for once, what waited ahead mattered more than who might be standing behind me. Vanessa sent one final email before my flight departed. I used to believe you would always be there. You cooked when I was tired, listened when I complained and forgave me before I apologized. I thought that was simply who you were, not something you chose to give me every day. When you stopped, I felt as though someone had removed the floor beneath my feet. I blamed Noah, Sophie, work, alcohol, anyone except myself. But no one forced me to lie. No one forced me to laugh at you. No one forced me to treat your loyalty as something embarrassing. You once said that love was not a cage. I agree now. I'm sorry, I only understood after you opened the door and left. I read it once, then archived it, not deleted, not answered. Some apologies do not require punishment. They also do not require reconciliation. Vanessa may have changed. I hoped she did. But becoming a better person did not restore her right to the life we once shared. The plane rose above London, beneath a pale winter sky. 4 years. I believed love meant remaining, staying through every silence, every cancelled plan, every careless word. I considered entrance a virtue. Vanessa considered it proof that I had nowhere else to go. She was wrong. So was I. I had places to go, cities I had never seen, paintings I had not yet created, people who would meet me without knowing whose boyfriend I used to be. When Vanessa stood beside Noah, she did not think about the man waiting at home with a fever. When she laughed at my devotion, she did not imagine it could end. Only after I left did my presence become valuable to her. But missing what someone provided is not always the same as loving the person who provided it. Sometimes people cry when you leave because they have lost comfort, certainty, control, a familiar source of forgiveness. Their tears can be sincere, their regret can be real. That still does not mean returning is the right choice. Vanessa had once described my love as safe, predictable, and without challenge. She wanted uncertainty. In the end, I gave her the only uncertainty she could not tolerate, a future in which I no longer belonged to her. As the city disappeared beneath the clouds, I opened my sketchbook. On the first page, I drew a snow-covered courtyard, a grey scarf resting inside a rubbish bin, and a man walking away without looking back. Beneath the drawing, I wrote, "The night she forgot to think about me was the night I finally remembered myself." What would you have done in Ethan's position? Would you have accepted Vanessa's apology after 7 years together, or walked away the moment you heard her mocking your loyalty? Share your opinion in the comments. And if you enjoy emotional stories about betrayal, regret, self-respect, and choosing yourself before it is too late, subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next story. This story is entirely fictional and created for entertainment purposes. It does not encourage harassment, retaliation, public humiliation, or refusing necessary medical care. Anyone experiencing serious illness, emotional distress, or a relationship crisis should seek appropriate support from healthcare professionals, trusted people, or local emergency services.